Good morning, everybody. And today marks exactly 1 week since the heavy rain triggered flash flooding along the Guadalupe River. And within the last week, authorities are now reporting that the flooding has claimed at least 121 lives across the state. And right now, at least 160 people are still missing.
And later this morning, President Donald Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump are expected to visit Kerrville today to get an up-close look at the destruction left behind by the wall of water that was the Guadalupe River. Earlier this week, President Trump issued a major disaster declaration for Kerr County. Of course, we'll be there live in Kerr County to cover his visit later this morning. Now, we've been closely following the devastation in Kerr County, and KHOU 11's Jalissa Garza has been on the ground speaking with those directly impacted by the flooding.
She joins us live from the Blue Oak RV Park. And Jalissa, we first heard from the owners of that park on Sunday. Good morning to you. What are you seeing there now?
Hey, good morning, Steph and Devon. Well, yesterday when we arrived here at Blue Oak RV Park, we really saw a lot of destruction, devastation, what was left behind in a place that has brought people a lot of memories. We know that this place was filled with families that were anticipating having a fun 4th of July weekend, but we know that that all took a tragic turn. Now, here at Blue Oak RV Park, the owner, Lorena Guillen, and her husband, they own the RV park, the restaurant Howdy's, which is where we're standing by, his construction company, and their home right next door. So you can imagine how heavy this is for them. I want to go ahead and take some video of what we saw yesterday during the day. Now, we saw a lot of crews here. We saw people on horseback going through the wooded area behind the RV park looking for those who are still missing. A tow truck company was also here going in that same wooded area, bringing vehicles out that were just completely destroyed. The sides of the doors on the cars gone, all of this debris filled in. You could see some of the airbags deflated. I mean, it is unimaginable to see it in person. And the owner, Lorena Guillen, told me that about 38 cars had been taken out from that wooded area. And she tells me as they look through this site every single day, it only becomes harder and it hits her harder every single day. Now, she tells me when the flooding happened in the middle of the night, her and her husband were running to RVs, knocking on doors, working to wake people up. And take a listen as she describes what she saw in the middle of the night.
You could see dozens of cars floating away with the lights on, and you can hear people honking. And you can hear screaming, a lot of screaming. And at one point, one of the campers that was passing by, you can see hands banging on the windows, trying to get our attention or get out. And then later on, we saw the cabins from next door smashing into the trees. That's why you see a lot of the scarring on the trees. That's where the cabins were hitting.
Now, Lorena was able to help get a lot of people to higher ground up on the balcony of her restaurant, which is reopened, even though it did take on some water. Now, throughout the morning, we'll be sharing more of what she shared with us. Now, Steph and Devon, she tells me she wishes that she could have done more, but her and her husband saved so many people's lives. There was one family they weren't able to get to, and as you can imagine, that has weighed very heavy on her. The emotional toll, the physical toll for her husband, and for her employees who are still here showing up, serving hot meals, and just providing a sense of community for a lot of the people here in Kerr County.
I'm sure it does break her heart, Jalissa, but what a wonderful, wonderful human being for helping all of those people she was able to save. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. We thank you for your report. Meanwhile, at 6:04, also this morning, we are hearing from a photographer at Camp Mystic who said that she and other staff members had to stay on the roof of their cabin for hours.
Yeah, Nancy Clement woke up to heavy rain around 2 in the morning on July 4th. She says she didn't realize how severe the situation was until an hour later when the water was rising to the porch of the cabin.
Everyone looked at the window and saw that. That was when the door broke in half and all the water started rushing in. Because we had seen like water trickling through the door, but all of a sudden the door snapped in half and the water came rushing in. So then we were like, okay, we need to get out of here.
Staff members then made their way out the door and used a windowsill to climb to the roof. They stayed up there until the water began to recede and were thankfully airlifted to safety.
Right now, Houston is continuing to show their support for the flood victims, and that includes Mattress Mac. He said that he spoke with a priest at the Annunciation Catholic Church to host a vigil there after the floods.
Well, I'd like to ask everybody out there to offer prayers for the victims of this horrific flood, this once in a 100-year flood. Offer prayers for the victims, offer prayers for the family. They have the strength to go on, and you know it's going to be a tough Thanksgiving when they sit down at the table and the child says, "Why is that chair empty?" So the entire community deserves our love and support, and they need to know that we're there for them.
His words really put things into perspective there. Mac told us that he and his team are now taking their donations to the Hill Country, and it's just another reminder that Houston always shows up for others in these difficult times.
Indeed we do. This morning, we want to thank you. A few days ago, we launched the Tegna Texas Flood Relief Fund, raising money for local nonprofits helping families affected by the flooding in the Hill Country. And yesterday, more than 1,100 calls came in during our statewide telethon organized by our parent company, Tegna, along with our sister stations across the state. As of now, we have raised more than $300,000. And of course, don't worry, if you missed the telethon, you can still help by scanning the QR code on your screen to donate, and every dollar goes straight to the families who need it most. And we thank you for your generosity.